I stood there in the kitchen, my hands grasping the edge of the counter so hard my knuckles turned white, feeling like the air had been sucked out of the room. Celia sat at the table, sipping her tea like nothing was wrong, her voice calm and steady as she dropped the bomb. "It's just relatives for Caleb's graduation," she added, without even glancing up from her cup. "It's less awkward if you don't arrive." Less awkward for who? I wanted to yell, to flip the table, to demand an explanation. But my throat tightened, and all I could do was stare at her. Then Caleb strolled in, his rucksack slung over one shoulder, nodding like it was no big deal. "Yeah, Dad, it's just a ceremony. Don't take it personal." Don't take it personal? How could you not take that personal? I'd been there for every skinned knee, every late-night study session, every game where I yelled my lungs out from the bleachers. I paid for that damn degree he was ready to wave around, and now I wasn't even worth a seat in the back? The words hit me like a freight train, but I didn't let them see it. I've always been adept at swallowing the hurt, keeping the serenity, being the steady one. Celia kept sipping her tea, her eyes on her phone now, presumably texting her sister Myra about some nonsense. Caleb grabbed an apple and hurried for the door, saying something about meeting his girlfriend. And me? I just stood there, the counter chilly under my fingers, feeling like a ghost in my own house. I'd spent 20 years building this family, pouring everything I had into it. And now they were telling me I didn't fit at one of the biggest moments of my son's life. It wasn't just the graduation. It was the message behind it. I wasn't needed. I wasn't desired. I didn't protest. I couldn't. My chest felt tight, like someone had tied a chain around it and yanked hard, but I kept my face blank. "Okay," I murmured, my voice low, steady, like I was consenting to skip a movie night, not being left out of my own son's milestone. Celia didn't even peek up. Caleb was already halfway out the door. And that was it. The decision was made. And I wasn't part of it. I let go of the counter, my hands shaking a little, and walked upstairs to our bedroom. The home was calm, too quiet, and every step felt heavier than the last. I retrieved my old duffel bag from the closet, the one I used to take on fishing trips with my brother Luis, back when life was easier. I started packing. Socks, shirts, a pair of shorts. Moving on autopilot, not even sure where I was going yet. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the bag. And that's when it hit me. I didn't have to stay here. I didn't have to sit in this house, waiting for them to understand what they'd just done to me. I grabbed my laptop, opened a trip site, and scrolled through places. Santorini popped up. White structures, blue roofs, unending water. It looked like the opposite of this suffocating kitchen. I bought the ticket. One way. Departing tomorrow. My phone buzzed. Probably Ellie from work, asking about some report, but I disregarded it. I didn't tell Celia. I didn't tell Caleb. I just zipped the bag up and stood there, breathing hard, feeling a strange mix of rage and relief sweep over me. The next morning, I was gone before they woke up. No message. No goodbye. Simply the sound of my pickup rolling out of the driveway. I went to the airport, my hands fastened on the wheel, remembering their words in my head. Less awkward. Don't take it personal. By the time I boarded the plane, I wasn't just leaving the city. I was leaving them. At least for a while. I settled into my seat, the sound of the engines drowning out the noise in my mind, and glanced out the window as the ground fell away. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about what they needed. I was thinking about me. Santorini was waiting, and I didn't owe anyone an explanation. Not anymore. As the plane ascended higher, I felt the weight start to lift. Just a little. I wasn't sure what I'd discover when I landed, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let them make me feel small again. I'd given them everything, every paycheck, every late night, every peaceful moment I let pass when they neglected to say thanks. And this was how they thanked me. I slumped back in my seat, closed my eyes, and visualized the sea ahead. They could have their graduation, their family only, day. I'd find my own calm, even if it was halfway across the planet. The plane leveled off, and I let out a long breath. This wasn't running away. This was choosing myself. And damn, it felt good, even if it hurt like hell. The moment I stepped off the plane in Santorini, the warm air struck me like a soothing wave, carrying the slight scent of salt and sun-baked stone. My duffel bag pulled heavily on my shoulder as I made my way through the little airport, evading tourists with their loud voices and bright clothing. I didn't care about the noise, not yet. All I wanted was to get to the villa I'd booked, put my stuff down, and figure out how to breathe again. The taxi ride was calm, the driver humming some melody I didn't recognize, weaving through narrow streets lined with whitewashed buildings, packed like sugar cubes against the cliffs. I watched the sea shimmer in the distance, and for the first time in days, my chest didn't feel like it was collapsing in. The villa was better than the pictures. Simple, quiet, with a stone terrace that hung over the edge of the hill. The sea stretched out below, unending and blue, flashing under the afternoon heat. I left my luggage inside, pulled off my shoes, and stepped onto the terrace barefoot. The tiles were warm beneath my feet, and I stood there for a minute, just listening. No voices telling me I wasn't wanted. No indifferent shrugs cutting me out. Only the wind and the waves. Calm, indifferent. I grabbed a drink from the little fridge, popped it open, and sank into a wooden chair, propping my feet up on the railing, the cold bottle sweat in my fingers, as I let out a deep, slow breath. This was it. This was mine. I pulled out my phone, not to check messages, but to take a picture. The sea. My feet. The beer. Easy. I shared it online with a caption. Silence looks wonderful on me. No explanation, no tags, just that. Minutes later, my brother Luis chimed in. Looking like a king, bro. Where you at? I smirked, picturing him back home, sprawled on his couch, soda in hand. Then, a private message from Ellie. Wait, weren't you supposed to be at Caleb's graduation? I read, my thumb pausing over the screen, but I didn't react. What was I meant to say? That my own family didn't want me there? That I'd rather be here alone than pleading for a space at their table? I set the phone down and took a drink of beer. Instead, the cold fizz stinging on my tongue. Celia hadn't called. Caleb hadn't texted. Nada. I wasn't surprised, yet it still stung, like a paper cut you don't notice until it starts to burn. I'd always been the one to reach out first. To fix things, to smooth over the rough edges. Not this time. I leaned back in the chair, the sun warm on my face, and closed my eyes. The sound of the waves rolled in steady, gradually wiping away the echo of their voices. Less awkward. Don't take it personal. Out here, those words didn't reach me. Out. Here I didn't have to be the man who took it all in stride. I could just be. The rest of the day went by effortlessly. I emptied my luggage, placing clothing into a drawer, then wandered down to the little market nearby. The guy behind the counter waved at me, friendly but not nosy, and I picked up some bread, cheese, and a bottle of wine for later. Back at the villa, I sat on the patio,